Ashley, if you'll speak to the topic of survivor guilt.
Yeah, so people have survivor guilt for a number of reasons. Most of the time, survivor guilt is talked about after a major disaster. People in the military experience survivor guilt. We're in this case kind of talking about it, from the show 13 Reasons Why, survivor guilt of suicide, but. The symptoms of survivor guilt oftentimes can be nightmares, flashbacks. People will become obsessed over the event. They'll begin to question the meaning of life. Maybe they will be very fearful or feel nothing at all, feel sort of numb. And sometimes they'll use drugs or alcohol to numb the pain. But I wanted to talk a little bit about how to cope with survivor guilt. One of the most important things is just keeping a regular routine, trying to put one foot in front of the other while you go through the grief process, because the grief process is real and it's healthy. So you have to just kind of keep going with your regular routine, trying to eat healthy, getting enough sleep. Talk to someone you trust. We've been trying to emphasize how important it is to have someone that you trust that you can open up to. So being willing to talk about it. Do something to memorialize the person. Do something that allows you to celebrate their memory. Don't be afraid to talk about the person. Don't be afraid to remember the good times. Those are all really important things to do when dealing with survivor guilt.
Thank you. Thank you. Anything else to add?
Literally, we could talk for hours about this. It is a difficult topic. I think one of the things, and I know I didn't coin the phrase, but suicide is a permanent solution to a temporary problem.
Wow.
And it is a finality to things. And when a person is in that frame of mind and they're thinking about taking their own life, they're really not thinking about anything else. It is also a very difficult thing to prevent because the people who are really wanting to do it oftentimes are going to keep that a secret, as Hannah seemingly had kept it a secret as well. The other thing to kind of think of is, in addition to that, it is also usually a crisis in particular, and that's when it is most important to intervene. Because when a person becomes actively suicidal, meaning they've already developed a plan and they actually have an intention, if you can figure that out, if you can find out about it and you can get them help, it may be 2, 3, 4 days, maybe a week where that person is actively, thinking about it. It's not to say that their depression is going to clear up overnight, but if you can get them through that immediate crisis, a lot of times you can then move forward and do a lot of good for them. There was an interesting study, and the Golden Gate Bridge in San Francisco is a pretty popular place for people to commit suicide. That or the Brooklyn Bridge. Jumping off of bridges is a well-known thing. Access to suicide really increases risk as well, and that might mean access to guns at home or a bridge like in San Francisco. But as you can imagine, most people who do jump from a bridge of that height do perish. They do die. And there are some survivors. And there was a study done, and they talked to the survivors of jumpers off the Golden Gate Bridge, and almost across the board, not everybody, but there was such a high percentage of those jumpers who survived who retold the story of what they did, and when they stepped off, almost all of them said, "Oh my God, what did I do? What did I do?" In my practice, when I have someone who talks to me about suicide, I generally ask them, well, what is it, you've thought about it, you think about it on a regular basis. What is it that keeps you from committing suicide? And they generally say the two biggest reasons are faith and family. Faith and family. It's a recurring theme. For those of us who may feel like we don't have family, I think that something I hear in the South, because I'm from up north, is a lot of people refer to their church family. So I think that's an important thing too, is that if they have faith and they have a church, well then they have a family, whether or not they have a biological family.
Thank you. And whether it's West or any, we have amazing churches here in this local area. And I don't care if you land here. I hope you land somewhere if you don't already have a church family.